right, here we are with our Ametrine, which has been running in stage 1 6090 silicone carbide for about three and a half weeks. It's time to take a look at it and see if it's ready to move to stage 2. Feels really nice. And there is that little tiny piece there, but my goodness, this Ametrine is really coming along nicely. Most of the sharp edges are gone. As with any quartz type material, it's going to have, a little bit of these pits that are not going to go away, and these little fracture marks. It's just inherent to the stone. But we have done a really good job on getting most of this out. So far, each piece has had like one little tiny mark on it. Like this one is right. See, it's right here. They are so close to perfection. And that one has quite a bit. As much as I want to move this on to 120, I really think that one more week in stage 1 will do it good. I don't think it's going to harm it any. I think it's going to just smooth out some of these final imperfections. Most of them, have come out, but there's still quite a bit on a few stones, and then some stones are almost perfect. It's that hard, that's in between stage of, do we go one more week? Be patient for the end result? Or do you rush it forward and be sorry? Yeah. This, it needs another week. All right, my lovely Ametrine. You're staying in stage 1. So we're going to recharge the barrel. We're in our little 1.5 pound barrel. See, our ceramic media looks really good. Keeping it well cushioned. So this is our 1.5 pound barrel. So we're going to put 1 tablespoon. You know what? I think I'm going to do 2 teaspoons of grit, because there was a lot of grit when I washed this barrel out. It had a nice thick slurry, but there was a lot of grit left over, and I did 1 tablespoon last time. So I think I'm going to do 2 teaspoons, a little bit less, because it's only going for a 7-day cycle, and it's a small barrel, so it really doesn't grind up that much of the grit in a 7-day in a small barrel. So we're going to use a little bit less of it. And then we're going to put borax in here because it's been making the cleanup really super fast. The barrels come out really clean. Not any scrubbing actually had to take place. Just a rinse. So yay. And then, so we'll do how much borax? Let's do a whole tablespoon of borax, and then 2 teaspoons of 6090 grit, and we'll see it in 7 days. Alrighty, enough rambling. Okay, before we move forward, a lot of people have asked us how we keep track of what's going on in our barrels, because we're running anywhere from 10 to 12 barrels every week, and now that we've got the new vibratory tumbler, it's going to be like 15 barrels, running all the time. So that's a lot to keep track of. So I have these spreadsheets I created, and I know I'm doing it old school. I'm writing it down because I don't want to have to keep going to the computer every time I do a barrel. So what I'm doing is I have this sheet for Ametrine, and it has the MOHS hardness, and it has my starting weight, which was 1 pound. I'm in stage 1. The barrel is a 1.5 barrel. The grit that I'm using is 60 by 90, and I used 1 tablespoon. I started it on September 15th at 3:30 in the afternoon. And the first week we did it with no ceramics. Then we cleaned the barrel and went on vacation. I write additional notes on the back. You know, see, so we cleaned the barrel hold for vacation. And then on the October 10th, we came back from vacation, added the ceramics to the barrel, recharged it with 6090 of 1 tablespoon, and then borax of 1 tablespoon. Then 11 days later, we had some bad weather, so we waited so our 7-day cycle was extended. Then we had a really thick slurry. We recharged it again for 6090, 1 tablespoon, and then borax 1 tablespoon. So today we're going to put our notes in of how we're reducing the 6090, and we're going to continue on. And then, so this is how we keep track of what's in each barrel as we go along. And I fill these out after I inspect each barrel, because if I waited to do all these sheets after, I would forget where I'm at. So it just helps keep track. All right, we'll be right back. And we're back with our Carnelian, which has been running in stage 1, 6090 coarse silicone carbide for 1 week. It was running in pre-stage 1, 4670 super heavy silicone carbide grit prior to that. So now we added ceramics last time, and this is our 6090 ceramics, and you can see how it's starting to wear down. Some of these smaller, we've got 2 sizes in here. We've got the large and the small ceramics, and you can see how these small ceramics are wearing down because they've been used so much in the 6090. Eventually the stuff wears down to where it's unusable, but still fairly good condition. Maybe 1 or 2 more cycles and we'll probably have to fish all that small stuff out. Okay, now on to the Carnelian, which we still think this looks like howlite. I don't know, but it's awful hard and it's not undercutting. But this host rock underneath is really interesting. I think all the Carnelian is pretty much gone off this rock. Lots of quartz in this Carnelian. It's going to need more time. I mean, even though it's a MOHS hardness of 7, it's still, I think it's more like a 7.5. So on this quartz, you see how the growth plates are here and how it's starting to fracture on those lines. We could take a chisel and chip away at that, but I think I'm just going to let the 6090 and the banging around in the barrel do it. This host on the bottom is really pretty. Needs a lot more work. I mean, you can just tell by looking at it. It's still rough. It's still doesn't have a lot of the shaping is done. Now, when we talk about shaping, we're talking about these sharp edges. And this is just a thin piece, so it's kind of, you can't really call it sharp. It's just a thin piece to begin with. But there's this host rock, which is still very pitty and prone to undercutting. I'm gonna let it keep rolling. I doubt there's anything ready in this barrel to move to 120. So this is going to be a fast inspection here. I'd just like to show some of these really lovely pieces. You see how agate this piece is. Now Carnelian is a form of chalcedony, and it can also be agatized. And with all these water band marks, this is more like a piece of agate than Carnelian. It's really pretty. I just think this is interesting. We had a piece of green in here, which is kind of rare. You don't see it too often. So we've lost some mass. I mean, the slurry was nice and thick. But I mean, these are just pits. That's not dirt. That's dark rock. It's not grit stuck in there. No, there's a lot of fracture lines on that one. When I see fracture lines like that, I always try to break it because I would rather it break in my hand than in the barrel. But getting some small pieces here. This piece has gotten a lot smaller. Oof. That's pretty rough. I don't think this will ever... Look at the condition of the skin of this host here. Super, super pitted. It's kind of rough to the texture. I do not think it's going to take a polish. Even though it's got this interesting piece of quartz on it, I'm going to pull this from the batch and put it for our garden stones outdoors. There's just no sense continuing to polish that. When you can see like the surface on all these other stones is so nice. Why keep doing that one? See, even this one is smoothing out to where it will probably take, some of it will take a polish, but we're never going to get down. We're never going to get down into there. This might get pulled at a later date. Ooh, very pretty. Yeah. Okay. So, this Carnelian is going to be recharged for 6090. It is not moving forward. We will put this ceramic media back in here. Let's adjust this here. See what I'm doing. Get the ceramic media down in there. Now you can see we really don't have that 2/3 volume that we need for an efficient run. And that's why I'm continuing to put ceramic media in here to make up the volume. And then we're going to put 3 tablespoons of borax. Give us that lovely, nice, thick slurry. And we will put 2 tablespoons of 6090 coarse silicone carbide grit in here, and then just water to the bottom layer of the top row of rocks. Being the 3-pound barrel, we ran an experiment, and I know most people say you want to put 3 tablespoons of grit in here, but on this Loratone 33B, the RPMs, you know, it's a dual barrel, so we're running 2 3-pound barrels on that machine. It really isn't enough to efficiently use all the grit in a 7-day cycle, and it's just not convenient for me to run 10-day cycles. So I'm reducing the amount of grit so I don't have so much wasted when I clean the barrels every week. We did an experiment with that, and you can check out our videos if you want to see it for yourself. But we're going to charge this barrel. We're going to fill out the sheet for it and put it on the tumbler, and we'll see it next week. All right, moving on. We're back with our black onyx, which is running in stage 1, 60-90 silicone carbide grit. It's been running, I don't know, several weeks, and gotta tell you, I'm really, really kind of happy with how this is turning out. So this is a divot, not a pit. It's another divot or valley. Not catching grit, so that's good. Oof. Bit of a scratch mark on that. Nice divots. A bit of a fracture mark. But these are fractures from when the stone was crushed to tumbling size. I like how, you know, when I ordered this from the vendor, I ordered black onyx, and I wasn't expecting to see such pattern in it and the different varying colors. This one looks like it's just got a ton of grit in there. That's not good. At this stage, we shouldn't be seeing grit catchers still. There's no breakage in the barrel. The slurry was super thick. I'm just really surprised that this is not going further. This is taking a really long time. It's been a long time. Gosh. All of September. Almost 8 weeks. It's been almost 8 weeks and it's still not ready to move forward. We're not losing a lot of mass either, which is kind of an interesting little fact on this stone. I don't know why we're not losing more mass. Maybe the stones are too big for the barrel? They shouldn't be. They're not too big. These are not big stones. Yeah, I'm not pulling anything out. There's nothing to pull out. Each stone seems to have a little bit, just a little bit that I want worked out. I really like that piece. Whew. All right, Black Onyx, you're going for yet another week in 6090. Yeah, see, there's grit in there. Let's see if we can get that out. Oh, you can with a little squirt. And then I've got my 6090 toothbrush. Yeah. You can see the grit on my fingers. That was all splashed out. This was that one, I think. You can see how that silver, the water turned silvery. That's the grit we're washing out of that spot. There, see, we're getting more of that grit out. There's just a lot I still want work done. Let's fill this barrel. Adjust the camera. Alright, so we are about half full with no ceramic media. So we want to add some ceramic media to give us some volume. Give it a good shake. And we're still under our 2/3. I'm going to look around and find some more MOHS Hardness 7 stone. 2 or 3 pieces that needed more time in 6090 to help fill the volume of this barrel. because I don't want to keep adding more ceramic media to this one. I mean, really, I only need to add a couple of stones. And I've got plenty laying around. What I want to do is recharge the barrel. With more 6090. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of lost my train of thought there. All right, we will be right back. Okay, we're back with our Australian lace agate, which ran 18 days in pre-stage 1, 4670 silicone carbide grit, and it has run 1 week in 6090 silicone carbide, which is stage 1. And it's looking really good. Let's give it a little squirt here. Keep it damp while we're looking at it. And see how many pieces, if any, are ready to move forward. Now, I'm still feeling some rough texture on the surface. Boy, there's really pretty patterns on this. Shaping really well. Had a really nice thick slurry, so I'm happy with that. Very little grit left over. This is in our 4-pound barrel. I'm noticing not breakage in the barrel, but the pieces are getting really small. We're getting a lot of little tiny stone-sized pieces here. They're wearing down quite quickly. As opposed to the black onyx that we were seeing, you know, no mass shrinkage. But I'm kind of a little concerned. I don't want to keep running this 6090 and lose mass. Oh, there's some really deep pitting in there. That's going to have to go to the garden. Alright, let's see here. I don't want to keep running something this small in 6090, so I'm going to move it to 120. See, there's a little bit of pitting right there. But again, goodness. I think these little tiny stones, I mean, I can either move them to the Zen garden because they're so little. I think I'm going to hold them for 120. I mean, there's a lot of little ones, but they've got such an impact with the pattern on them. Whew. These little tiny ones are going to 120. Hope they survive. That's that one we've been watching. That's just a natural. It's not a chip per se. Or it's not a damaged chip anyway. Some little holes in there. Oh. I will scrub these with a toothbrush and then put these aside to run in 120. All these little tiny ones. Wow, that's got really thin. Just an amazing pattern on all of these. I'm trying to dig out these little ones. Thin ones, the tiny ones. Oh, it kind of sounds like glass, doesn't it? Huh. Alright, let's keep going for tiny pebbles. Those little ones, little ones. Wow, look at the patterns on that one. More of this is ready to move forward than I thought. This is that one with that eye I've been watching. But if you look at it closely, you see that it's not super smooth surface. It really does require more time in stage 1. I mean, it just has a rough feel to it. There you can see all those little micro pits. I want that ground out before it moves forward. All these here. We are splitting this batch. All the little tiny stuff is going to go to 120. Any of these bigger pieces, that's just a druzy pocket. The rest of the surface feels pretty good. See, you're not really seeing all those micro pits that we were looking at as in that other piece. I think this one could go forward. Alright, this is a lot of stone here that we still need to go through. I want to take my time with it, and I want to really choose wisely as to what I'm going to move forward and what's going to stay in it. We're not going to have enough to run in this 4-pound barrel. So it may have to be combined with something else so that we can get a good efficient run. Okay. Half of it stays in stage 1, half of it's ready to move forward, but we're going to hold it till everything's ready to go forward. So what we do with the stones that are ready to move forward is we actually just like set them aside mostly in Ziploc baggies. And once we have enough to run a barrel, we'll put them in wash cycles to clean them really well. And then we, charge it up for the next stage of grit. But because we split these, we don't always have... I don't think this one's going to work. This is going to have to go to the garden. I lost my train of thought. Okay. That's all right. Wow, look at this one. It's cool. Still needs some work, but it's really close. Okay, we'll be right back. And we're back with our green tree moss agate, which has been running 18 days in 4670 pre-stage 1, and then 7 days so far in stage 1, which is the 6090 silicone carbide grit. The ceramic media is getting a little thin here. Some rather bigger sizes. It kind of beats the media up a little. So we added the ceramics a couple weeks ago. Let's see what we've got here. There was no breakage in the barrel. The slurry was really nice and thick. Seems to be a lot of shaping going on. But there still needs some improvement. As you can see, these rough spots. It's getting closer. It's a really big piece. Lots of shaping still needed. that surface. Yeah. Yeah, it still needs more work. Still needs time in this barrel. Okay. As it grinds, we are getting more of the pattern. You can kind of see through some of the quartz piece sections on this. This is really, really pretty piece. Love the pattern. But as you can see, we still need to grind away more. This is going to be a quick inspection because even visually we can see that it still requires a lot of work. Even this little piece. So, alright, we're just going to recharge this barrel with the 6090. Add the ceramics back in. Little borax. So, okay. MOHS agate. This was really quick. It's going back in and we'll see it next week. Pink Aventurine is running in stage 1 6090 silicone carbide grit for about 3-4 weeks. And we've got some pretty large pieces in here which have cleavage marks, a little fracture area here. It's not holding grit. It's not really going to grind down unless we lose a lot of mass of the stone. So let's see how these other great big pieces, most of the surface is feeling really lovely. You know, there's just a couple of these little spots on these big stones that might actually benefit from one more week in 6090. Which I kind of hesitate to do because most of the surface on these stones is feeling really, really lovely. But then there's like just that one little spot. So I might take these great big stones and add them to that 4-pound barrel of the lace agate, the Australian lace agate that we're running, because we needed more stone in the barrel. I think I might put these big stones in that one, because really most of it's looking like it's ready to go to 120. Yep, I'm going to add those to that 6090 barrel. Let's take a look. Our lovely pink Aventurine. Wow. You can see there's no pitting. The surface really does look lovely. Wow. I think these are going to move definitely to 120. A little bit on that one. And that one. Whew. Goodness. I mean, I do aesthetically like that these were cut on a tile saw, and so you got kind of these uniform shapes. I keep hitting the tripod, sorry about that. Pink Aventurine, I mean, it's got pattern in it. It's just really subtle. I think that can go to 120. Get that one more time. That one more time. Wow. This pink Aventurine's going really well. I think all of this is going to be held for a 120, and then what we have back here is going to get moved to that Australian barrel, and that I think should help fill it so we can run it, and then we'll put these ones on hold. Okay, Pink Aventurine, it's a half and half. We'll see it next week. All right, we are back with our White King's Quartz, which has been running in stage 1, 60-90 silicone carbide. It's been a mixed 3-pound barrel. We've also been running it with what was left over from a couple of pieces of rose quartz and then the Prairie Agate that still needed more time in 60-90. So lots of split barrels going all over the place here. So let's quickly just take a look at these 2 pieces of rose quartz that just needed yet more time. And I think they are finally finished. This is not going to come out and it is not catching grit. So we're going to let it move forward to 120. This piece is kind of dried since we rinsed it. And again, not catching grit. It's definitely ready to move forward to 120. So finally, we are done with our rose quartz in stage 1. It can now move forward. Hooray, hooray, hooray. We are good with that. Okay, our White King's Quartz we were splitting it last week. We took some pieces out that were ready for 120. And I think I'm going to do that again this week. It's looking really, really nice. It's kind of hard to tell being white, so you really have to depend on the feel of the stone. The surfaces are super smooth already. Very little. I'm not feeling any grit. I'm not feeling any problems. No cracks. There was no chips in the barrel. This crack is a fracture line. As you can see, it's not collecting any grit. And it feels smooth to the touch. So I'm going to move that stone forward. This one could use just the tiniest bit more time in 60-90. So we'll set it aside. Just a little bit on the end of that one. These are really turning out nice. So you can see, looking right here, my fingernail does catch in that. The rest of this stone is just lovely, but I'm going to hold it back. That one I'm going to hold back. Wow. Holy cow. Just lovely. There is patterning emerging in this this stone. It's kind of hard to see though. But you are going to need a little bit of pattern. That I want to just grind out just a tiny bit more. Quartz is always a little temperamental, even though it's such a hard stone. These little fracture lines really do a number on you. And it's, you know, from the growth, it's from the way the stone was split. You know, it's just the nature of the beast. It doesn't always grind out. And then you see all the rest of the sides look really, really good. Oh, no, I said that too soon. There's another one there. All right, we'll hold that one. That's got a big one we're going to hold. That's optical. All right, well, we're able to pull some out. I'd say for the King's Court, it's about half and half. Half ready to move forward, half still needs a little bit more time. That's ceramic media. We're going to take a look at that too. Okay, this is going to move forward to 120, so we will set that aside. This is the ceramic media, and you can see we're starting to get smaller and smaller and broken pieces. But because it's in 60-90 in stage 1, which is our rough grind, I'm going to leave those broken pieces of media in here, and they'll just grind away to nothing. If it was a finer grade, like in the aluminum oxides, the pre-polishes, I'd pull those out because I wouldn't want those to damage the surface of the stones. But when we're grinding, it's not going to do any damage. So, that's it for White King's Quartz. We split the batch yet again, and it's going to run more 60-90, and then until it's all done. All right, we'll be right back. We're back with our Prairie Agate. This is the last of the stone that has been in stage 1 this week. We had 7 barrels that were running in 60-90, so quite a bit. Not a whole lot moving forward. Wow, this one's gorgeous. Now these stones are dry. They've been rinsed. I don't really like to let them dry. It's just while we were doing the inspection they dried. So let's just give them a little drink of water here. Now when I inspected the barrel, the slurry was nice and thick, so yay, life is great. But we did have this one chip. So I'm expecting to find a piece of Prairie Agate with damage. But it isn't this one. This is ready to move to 120. It's been running quite a long time in stage 1, and we keep thinning it out every week, or splitting the batches. I think we're finally done with 60-90. As I say that, there's this piece here. I don't think that's ever going to grind out. It's pretty deep. I do want to take a look at that and see. It doesn't look sparkly like there's grit in there. I'm not seeing a lot of black, just as this one little corner. So I want to see if I can flush it. As I flick it everywhere. So I'm going to rinse, get it a little dry. Come on, focus. That could have been where the chip came out of. Color matches. Could have come, been a fracture part and it just broke off. Either this is going to go to the garden or I'm going to run it one more week in 60-90. I think I'll run it one more week. I'll find a barrel to put it in. Ooh, lovely. Wish I could stop hitting that tripod. I don't really like the way this feels in here. We'll run it another week. Oh, there's a druzy pocket opening up. We're going to want to flush it. We're going to want to brush it. Make sure nothing is in there that should not be. draw the water out, any grit that might be in there. Does look like a couple pieces of grit. An ultrasonic cleaner would clean that out. Alright, we're gonna go wash that. And then move it to 120. Is a finger catch right there. Oh, 120 it. Or I mean, put it in a stage 1 again. See if we can smooth that out some more. It's smooth-ish, but I would like, I mean, it's going to be hard to grind this area, but we'll try it. We'll see if we can get it smoother. And this one's going to the garden. And the reason this is going to the garden is because those pits are so deep that we will never grind it out. And they're grit catchers, as you can see. There's no way to get that grit out of there without having an ultrasonic cleaner. So that's going to go to the garden. These can be moved forward to our 120. And this is all we've got left to stay in our 6090. I'm going to look around on our split batch shelf and anything that is a MOHS hardness 7 that requires more time in 6090 I'll add to this barrel just to fill it so that we can finish it off. And we're going to move forward. That's it for our stage 1 barrels. We're going to move forward to our stage 2, which is medium, and we'll be right back. We're back with our stage 2 medium silicone carbide, the 120-220. This is our Snakeskin Jasper, and we are pretty happy with it. What I did not realize when I started this last week is I had a whole nother bag of this ready to go to medium. So we're going to have to figure out what we're doing here. So we want to look at this 120. We want to make sure that it is prepared smooth enough. Flaws are removed so that we can move it to pre-polish. But frankly, I think it could be smoother. I mean, it's got some interesting divots. There's a lot of divots on this that I really was not expecting. Yeah, I just feel like it could go smoother. This one feels really good. It's not as smooth as I would like it to be, though. I think it could benefit from a second week in 120. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take all this Snakeskin Jasper. I'm going to set it all aside. And I'm looking for a barrel that I can run this in. Now it's all caught up and all ready for more 120. So this is going to get set aside. Petrified Wood has been running 1 week in stage 2, 120-220 silicone carbide grit. Well, let's take a look and see how it's progressing. Looks okay so far. Feels nice. feels much better than that Snakeskin Jasper did, even though they ran in the same barrel. I rarely want to run things a second week in 120. And I'm just not sure. I mean, I think this is probably fine. Given the status of this from the vendor, I mean, it was pretty, not pitted, but very fractured. So it you know, and being that it's a petrified wood, I mean, it's got, there's no grit being caught, but it's just not as smooth as I would like if it was a Jasper or, you know, something like that, or an agate. It's just has a lot of things like this. These little valleys, these little, I don't know. It's just stuff that is never going to grind out. And I don't like to pitch a whole batch. I mean, I did do that with that sea Jasper that one time, but I don't know, I've seen petrified wood that was much better than this batch that I had. I think this is feeling good enough probably to move to 500. So this is going to get wash cycles. I think the surface on this is, you know, going to be good enough. Yeah. Not the best batch of petrified wood. Not the best batch. That sound of disappointment in my voice is trying to reconcile myself with the fact that you don't always get, no matter how hard you work, the results you want. I mean, other than those weird fractures and pits. Oh. It feels good. Feels really good. I'm not used to feeling in stage 2 all these weird, boy, that's smooth. All these weird pits, because we usually grind them all out, but it's just not possible in some of these. I mean, some are just really perfectly lovely, and then you get gnarly stuff like this, which, while every surface you can touch feels really good, there's still these deep crevices. I don't know. It is what it is. Alright, petrified wood's going to get wash cycles and move on to 500 aluminum oxide. Alright, we are done with that. We've got 2 more barrels to get through. Be right back. And we're back with our Zebradorite Feldspar, which has been running in stage 2, 120, 220 silicone carbide grit for 1 week. And it is really looking nice. It's not quite as smooth as I would like it to be, but let's just give it another rinse, and let's see, or another sprinkle here. Really cool patterns. Really happy with it. The slurry was nice and thick, so I'm tickled pink with that. It's just a divot. No grit catching there. Oh, it's feeling better. Yeah. I think this is ready for wash cycles and to move forward to 500. Okay. That feels really rough. Oh, that's that section we thought might chip off. I would hate for that to chip off in these higher I'm going to set that aside. I want to look at that more. I want to make sure it's stable before I move it forward. I might tap it with a hammer and see, hammer and chisel, and see if that breaks off. There's kind of a rough spot in here that did not grind out and did in stage 1, and in stage 2 it didn't smooth either, which I was hoping it would do. Most of this is feeling pretty good. Wow, that's cool. Yep, I'm thinking this batch is going to go to wash cycles and then move forward. Whew. Awesome. Okay, so after the wash cycles, we'll change out the ceramic media for the polish or pre-polish media. Look at a little baby one. I like this orange. It's really cool. That seemed to have filed out nicely. I was a little concerned about that edge, but that worked. Okay. Feldspar, or Zebradorite Feldspar. We'll get a wash cycle, or several of them, and then be moved to stage 3. To pre-polish 500 aluminum oxide. Okay, fantastic. We got one more barrel. Be right back. We're back with our last barrel for this week. It is our Salmon or Peach Moonstone. It has been running in 120 stage 2 silicone carbide for 1 week. Let's take a look and see if it's ready to move on to pre-polish. It feels beautiful. There's no grit caught in that crevice, so glad about that. This one's got some crevices too. Again, no grit caught. Wow. It just feels so lovely. Very, very pleased with the way this is turning out. I'm really happy with the borax additive. It's making the slurries gorgeous. Really nice and thick, so it's able to move along the stones and do exactly what it's supposed to do. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Really, really happy. Just making sure that there's no breakage. There was no breakage when I checked the ceramic media. And no chips in the barrel. So we just want to make sure that these stones are what we want and that the surface is prepared to take the pre-polish. And I think it is. So we're going to give this several wash cycles and then move it along to 500. Now, Moonstone is a little bit softer. It's like a 6 to 6.5 on the MOHS scale, where almost everything else we've been running has been at 7s. So what I want to do is do this in the vibratory tumbler in the mini Sonic for the 500, but we're going to do the wash cycles in the rotary. And then we will change out the ceramic media to the 500, and we'll put in the aluminum oxide. Now, the amount of pre-polish that's used in the vibratory tumblers is much less than what's used in rotaries. So I'm going to have to really do some digging and find out what is the best recommendation for the amount of pre-polish to use in that vibratory tumbler before we go ahead and run this. But I am going to run the wash cycles. They'll take, probably the rest of the day. We'll do several of them till the water runs clear. And then it'll be ready to get its maiden voyage in the vibratory. And it's going to take a lot less time. I think it will only probably take a day or two. I think 2 days in pre-polish. Before it's ready to move on to the next stage, where if it was in a rotary, it would take a 7-day cycle. So I'm interested to test these out and check it out. So at the end of the wash cycles today, we're going to have a lot of barrels moving around, because anything that's ready for pre-polish is going to go to the vibratory tumblers, and that'll open up barrels for us to move some of the things that we have sitting waiting for barrels. Okay, we will get started on that, and if we have an update on the vibratory tumbler, we will add it to this video. If not, you'll see it next week. All right, have a great time.